I just came home from the parade. I like the taller tires. The hubs did great. One thing about a parade, you could always have a kid run in front of you. It'd be nice to have brakes. Thanks to GoPowerSports.com, we're going to try to adapt some brakes to the Poulan. So let's go to the shop. So I'm working on the Poulan. This is custom go-kart brakes on a lawnmower unboxing video. These are the spaces I got at the hardware store. GoPowerSports.com box. This is a disc brakes bracket. Goes right on my axle. It's keyed. It's got 2 Allen bolts in it. If we look at the thickness of it, basically the same thickness. Also have this disc that goes with that adapter. There is a cable in this box. Caliper with brake pads. And 4 nuts, 4 bolts. Also, they threw in some stickers. I love stickers. So this goes on one side. I'm thinking the side that had the deck height adjustment lever, and use that to engage the brakes. This goes on the other side just to keep it spaced out. Let's get started. Heavy duty, adjustable on both ends. Up next, we're going to tighten the 4 nuts and bolts that hold the mounting hub to the disc. It's ready to pull in the axle. So right here on the left hand side, I got the tire wheel hub off. There goes the washer. There goes the sleeve. I'll tighten up that Allen bolt. First, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on there so it don't rust up on me. So it's going to be a little bit of trial and error. I don't know if it goes this way. I don't know if it goes this way. Just thinking out loud, if it goes this way, it'll keep my brakes away from the tire and wheel. If we flip this around, there'd be just enough room to weld this to the axle. That's a thought. We can make it work. I'm thinking the caliper has to go here when you pull that lever that pulls your brakes. If you try to spin it around the other way, this adjustment bolt hits the wheel, so that option's out. Has to mount on this side. And I think right there is the ideal location. I just got to make up a bracket for it now. Right with the Poulan working on the disc brakes, and I'm trying to make up a bracket. I got this 4x4 angle that came out of a dumpster. I'm thinking cut it off 6 inches long, punch 2 holes. Might even could use that right there for my holes. Mount this to the side of the tractor. That'd be your bracket. Let me get it cut and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is what I got so far. I got my bracket cut off. This one I've got to punch some holes to mount it to the tractor. I got to punch 2 holes to bolt it to that bracket. So I just came back from the drill press. I drilled these 2 holes. They go into the frame of the mower. I drilled these 2 holes. They go into that bracket. And in my hardware bucket, I found these 2 bolts for up here and these 2 for over there. These are for a different project, but I can buy more for that project. Anyway, I got to drill 2 holes into the frame. We'll get this baby mounted. So I got the vice grip holding the bracket right where it goes. I got to drill 2 holes here, put 2 bolts in. I'm about to drill a hole here for the cable. Other than that, if we look at how it works, spins freely, pull this up, locks it down. So my next step, drill these 2 holes, put those bolts in, and test it. Both brake brackets have been painted black. Once they dry, it's getting a little bit late. I'm thinking that's going to be a tomorrow thing. It's right where we left it last night. Oh, paint. Let's see if it's dry. Ready to go. I see a little orange. I don't guess that'll hurt anything. So I've got this end of the brakes done. Everything's bolted up. Everything's together. Up next, I got to hook up the cable, and I've got a plan. Before that, I just removed some crud, those 4 clips, the deck height parts, the blade engagement cable. The plan is, this is the old deck height arm. It's not going to be the brake arm. That hole there, I want to hook the cable to that. As you pull back, it stops. If you pull it back and lock it in, that's the parking brake. At least that's the plan. And there's another hole identical to that on the other side. If we want to do dual disc brakes in the rear, this one arm would control both of them. Something to think about. Right here with this bed frame, I just cut this piece off. Got to have bed frame around the shop. Anyway, this is going to be my cable holder. I got to drill 2 holes in it, bolt it to the frame, and then my cable goes through this hole right here. So I'm going to go drill 2 holes, clean it up, paint it, bolt it on. Getting close. I still got to build a bracket for this end. It's got to come up something like this because the cable's just a little bit too long, but it's going to work. The more I put up here, the less there is hanging underneath. So it's going to go just about like that. Here's my custom bed frame painted bracket and a handful of hardware. All I got to do now is put it all together. So here's my rear cable bracket. I've got it sitting in place. Got the vice grips holding one side. My bolts are a little bit too short, so I'm going to get 2 longer bolts. I got to get sausage chips anyway. I got a bolt in there holding it in place. If we pull the lever, it works. I'm going to take it off, paint it. While the paint's dry, go get the bolts. And we get the thing bolted together, put the wheel on, and go test it. So here's my bracket. The paint is dry, it's ready to install. I just came back from the store with 3 more bolts. The other ones were a little bit too short. I'm going to get this thing installed, then we go for a test drive. And for installation, the factory put 2 bolt holes for me. I'm right here on the brakes on the back of the Poulan, and there's a slight problem. This is with the parking brake engaged. If I turn the tire turns, brake disc is locked. The problem is there's 2 Allen bolts. Let me scoot you over a little bit, see if you can see them. There are 2 Allen bolts, one here, one there. The keyway, I've got some keys, but the keyway on the axle shaft does not go far enough to go underneath the hub for the disc brakes. So I'm about to take it all off, spin this around, and I've got my welder. I'll weld it to the axle. I bet it won't spin then. So now that the tire wheel and hub are off, you can see the keyway stops here. I need to go about another 1.5 inches, then I could just put some keys in there. Problem solved. What I'm going to do is turn this around, weld it to the axle shaft. And if you ever want to change axle shafts or change the rear end and you can't get the brake, all you do is buy this one little hub. Everything else I can reuse. Not a big deal to me. So I just loosened these 2 Allen bolts. I took the caliper off. I'm hanging the caliper out of the way. The disc slides off like this. I've got this factory spacer. That's going to be coming off. I'm going to flip this around and put it on this way. Slide it all the way back. Pop a little bead of welder on there. Put it all back together. And now the hub has been tacked to the axle. I'm going to clean it up, put everything back together, and then we're going to do our test drive. So the hub's welded on, the tire and wheel's back on. I got it jacked up with a little light shining on it. It spins freely, backwards and forwards when you hit the brakes. I can turn it, but it's tough. I don't think it's enough to make the back tire slide when you're stopping, but it's close. They also sell a hydraulic brake kit. Maybe we'll try that one next time. Give this thing a good test drive tomorrow. At least it's got a parking brake on it. So I'm right here with a Poulan. I've got the brake system all installed. It works. Went for a test drive and it did work, but it could work better when you pull the blade height adjustment lever. This bracket bends down a little bit. It's a little bit too springy for this job. It slows the tractor down, but I want to be able to lock up that tire and slide. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take another piece of metal, come up from here, and make like a kickstand so this can't bend down every time you pull the cable. Then we'll see if it'll slide. Other than that, the brakes are done. Here's a shot of the cable in action. And you can see this moving down. That's what we got to fix. So when I cut this bracket, this is the piece that cut off of it. There is a hole here, there's a bolt there. I'm thinking put that bolt to this hole, put a little angle in this, it makes it come right underneath here, paint it black, bolt it on. This job's done. So it's hard to see because we're working in the shade, but there are 2 bolts that hold this back piece on, 2 bolts on that side. I took both these out. I've made up my bracket. It's going to go just like this. All I got to do now is bolt it into place. The longest part of this job is waiting for this paint to dry. This freshly painted bracket is ready to be bolted on. Let's do that now. I now have the rear wheel jacked up. The bracket's in place. Looks like the adjustment needs to be tightened up a little bit. Let me do that now. So to adjust this, I loosen this bottom nut. I'm going to go all the way down to the rubber boot. I don't want to mess up my rubber boot. And then I'm going to tighten this nut up. And if I run out of adjustment up here, there's more underneath the mower. Tire is almost too tall. There it goes. So we've reached the end of this video. The brakes work great. I can't get them to slide, but they definitely slow it down. To make it slide, I probably need dual rear disc brakes, which that is an option. You might see that in the future. Or maybe next time try the hydraulic brakes. But I don't want to give up yet. I know the diameter of this tire, it's a mud tire, it's a big tire, it's got a lot of leverage. It's going to be hard to make it slide. But I figure if I take Colonel Craftsman and this chain, pull the parking brake handle, it should slide. And right before we do that, if you want to do me a favor, go to GoPowerSports.com, peruse through their stuff, see if you can pick out something that would be good for this mower. I'm thinking steering parts. Another rear disc brake kit, and some steering parts. Let me know if you find anything on there that you think would be good on this mower. Now, let's make that back tire slide. Let's do a launch test on both mowers. Ready?